Welcome to another episode of In Depth with Academia. I am Richard Price, founder and CEO of academia.edu, and today, as always, I'll be your host, taking you on a journey through the fascinating world of peer-reviewed research. Remember, I'm presenting this paper neutrally, just opening up the topic for you to explore in your own way, never saying that this research is the one and only truth. So, today's adventure, we're plunging literally into the depths. The story of the ichthyosaurs found in Leicestershire, a paper written by Roland, Keates. And if you've ever wondered what it's like to stand on rolling English hills and realise you're right on top of what was once a warm Jurassic Sea, crammed with creatures straight out of a sci-fi movie, well, you're in for a treat. Let's back up for a second. The core question Keates is exploring in this paper, just to give you a sense, is who were the ichthyosaurs? How did they evolve? And why did they disappear? Why does it matter? Well, these extinct marine reptiles aren't just old rocks and bones. They tell us about deep time, about how life rebounds after disaster, adapts, flourishes, and eventually, sometimes, vanishes. And if you're living anywhere near Leicestershire, or I guess if you're just interested in natural history, this story connects you pretty directly to an ancient, vanished world that existed right where you are now. Isn't that wild? Now, key insights. Keates starts with the basics, the origins, after that catastrophic Permian-Triassic extinction around 252 million years ago. Oceans were left empty. So, guess what? New creatures like ichthyosaurs rushed in. Their ancestors may have started on land, or maybe splashing along rivers, but they gradually adapted to life in the open sea. Early ichthyosaurs were less torpedo-shaped and more eel-like, if you can imagine that. But all this, I just want to be clear, it's what the fossil record suggests and not some absolute unchanging truth. The interpretations shift as new fossils are found. Anatomically, ichthyosaurs were absolute marvels. Imagine dolphins, but like way more prehistoric and sometimes a lot stranger. They had big eyes, sometimes the biggest of any vertebrate. Their teeth were conical, perfect for snapping up squid and fish, and their bodies, streamlined for speed. Some even had preserved soft tissues. Yes, actual imprints of skin, dorsal fins, even tail flukes. That's thanks to rare fossils from places like Barrow on Soar, which is right there in Leicestershire. These fossils let us reconstruct not just their bones, but how they probably looked and swam. So cool. But you're probably thinking, why Leicestershire? What was so special about this place? Well, Keates explains that during the early Jurassic, this was part of a shallow, warm sea. Over time, layers of mud entombed dying animals, sealing in their remains, and super rare conditions meant their bodies sometimes got squashed, flat, so flat that you can even see soft tissue traces in some fossils. Local quarries preserved this whole marine ecosystem. Ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, ammonites, kind of a Jurassic buffet. Oh, quick digression. Did you know the Barrow kipper isn't even an ichthyosaur, but a plesiosaur? I got that fact all muddled as a kid and didn't realise until way too late. Okay, moving on. The paper dives into the diversity of ichthyosaurs. There were loads of different species, all shapes and sizes, and over time they became more streamlined and specialised. Something like how, well, wolves and foxes share an ancestor, but turned out so different. During the Cretaceous, though, their numbers dwindled, and eventually they disappeared, maybe due to friendly neighbourhood mosasaurs outcompeting them or their prey numbers dropping. We honestly don't know for sure, and again, I'm not saying Keates' account is the answer, just a current reading of the evidence. Reproductive-wise, ichthyosaurs had another surprise. Live births, fossils preserving embryos show that they gave birth in water. No need to crawl onto land, ever. That's a step ahead of, say, most sea turtles or crocodiles, right? Bone studies suggest that juveniles grew quickly. That tells us a lot about their lifestyles. Fast growth, big appetites, maybe a tough life, dodging predators. And if you love a human angle, Mary Anning, legendary fossil collector, found the first complete ichthyosaur. And women like her really shaped what we know about prehistoric life. Without those finds from places like Barrow on Soar, we'd all be in the dark about, how spectacular these local seas once were. So, what does all this mean for you? Well, every time you pick up a pebble or walk a muddy path in the English countryside, you might just be a little closer to a lost world, and you get to see that science isn't about dogma, but about putting together clues, revising ideas, and asking, What if? That's really the point. Academic research like Keates' paper isn't a finished puzzle. It's a work in progress. And you are invited to think about what comes next. All right. Thanks so much for joining me on In Depth with Academia. I'm Richard Price, your friendly host and ever-inquisitive CEO of academia.edu, reminding you to stay curious, ask questions, and remember, research isn't gospel. It's an invitation to wonder. See you next time.